We have a very, very special guest today, and that is Teyla, which
Yeah.
is equally kind of cool because this is Stargate, and of course, Teyla is one of the names of a Stargate character that is well beloved. And Teyla, you recently started watching Stargate, correct?
Well, also just mentioning that she's my
Yes, she's
daughter,
Emily's daughter. I know
14-year-old
we've
daughter.
mentioned it on the podcast before, but for those that don't know, this is Emily's daughter, who also shares a name with a very beloved Stargate character. Um, and so you've recently started watching Stargate, correct?
Yes.
For the first time.
Yeah.
So basically, we are going to ask Taylor all kinds of questions about her Stargate experience, being a first-time watcher, being a younger generation watcher, a new generation watcher, especially since we are about to have a new Stargate series, and hopefully we will have more newer generations brought into this series. I believe, wasn't there just an episode of Dial the Gate where Christopher Judge was talking about generations of Stargate, of like sci-fi and Stargate fans and bringing
Yeah.
in new generations. And so just a shout out to him as well. And, this sort
Yeah.
of positive content and hopefully creating something that, young people can enjoy that makes them feel that there is some hope in the world, which is very needed
Yeah.
right now.
And Taylor, just so you know, Christopher Judge is
I,
Teal'c.
Yes.
That's who we were referring to. Yeah. Just in case you
you
didn't know.
told me already.
So just to kind of kick this off, maybe we'll start from the very beginning, which is how did you start watching Stargate? Like what made you start watching the series and how far along are you? Just so everybody watching kind of has an idea of what you've seen so far.
So my mom kept trying to make me watch it. She kept like telling me to watch it, and I kept saying no for like I think 2 years straight. I want to say I don't know if that's accurate though, and she kept she kept telling me to watch it. I kept saying no, and then eventually I kind of gave in. And the first time we watched it, I think we watched 4 episodes in a row,
Wow.
and every time we started a new one, she started squealing. Um, but and so far, I think we're at season 4. I don't remember.
No, we're on season
We're in season
seven, hon.
7.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember, after Jonas Quinn,
oh
Jonas
yeah,
Quinn is season 6, and we just started 7. Yeah.
yeah. So season 7.
Wow. So
Yep.
you're almost at the point
Hmm.
where you can start watching Atlantis.
Yeah,
And I don't know if are you gonna do that, the tandem Atlantis watch with okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I figured like that would be the best way to do it is to kind of do the correct order.
Very cool. Very cool. No, that's very exciting. So
Yeah, I'm excited for that too because Taylor already really likes McKay when he's like
Yeah.
been shown on SG-1. So I'm excited to see like how she likes the characters for Atlantis once we get going with that. So
Mhm.
that's really
yeah.
cool because something a lot of people um their first impression of McKay is not a good one. Like I've met so many people that say I didn't like McKay when I first saw him on Stargate SG-1, and then I loved him after a little bit of Atlantis. So that's very fascinating to me that you already love McKay.
I think it's kind of the same with oh, I forget the character's name though. Another character that I didn't like at first, but then I started liking later on. It's kind of like they're not a good character, but then I liked him anyway because I almost knew that he was going to get better anyway. So
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know if that says anything about him.
Which one was that, hun? Is there a way you can describe
Um, the,
like the other one you were
the
talking
guy
about?
that's funny with Jack. I forget his name for some reason.
Mayborn?
Oh, Mayborn. Mayborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hated him first though.
And yeah, I think that's a common perception that a lot of people
Yeah,
have. Like I think a lot of people like love hate him and then grow to love him because he's just like ridiculous.
exactly.
But
He's an amazing character.
should I go to
Yeah,
question numero
of
dos,
course.
Alyssa?
Yeah, yeah.
Um Okay, Teyla. So are you generally into sci-fi or any similar genres, or is this different from shows that you have watched typically?
I'm not like into sci-fi probably as much as you are. I think I'm into sci-fi, but it's very different forms of sci-fi, I think. Like I think
Mhm.
the only show that I've watched that's kind of similar to this is I don't think it's even technically sci-fi, but it kind of reminds me of it where it's Umbrella Academy, where
Oh,
it
okay.
kind of reminds me
Mm,
of
yeah.
Stargate with certain things. Um, but yeah, I don't actually know if I've watched a lot of sci-fi stuff. I can't remember if I have.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, at least together, I don't think we
Yeah,
have. Yeah.
no. I think it's only been
Not that I can remember.
yeah.
In general, out of
Yeah.
curiosity, is sci-fi tending to be popular with your generation, or is it more kind of other things? Because I almost feel like maybe it's a generational thing that people are, into sci-fi, quote unquote.
I don't know. I think it's also because sci-fi is such like a broad genre.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different kinds of sci-fi. Also, there's different ways people think of it because how people my age more think of sci-fi is like superheroes and stuff.
Okay.
Like they consider like superheroes being more like sci-fi stuff and things like that. And then there's things like Star Trek and stuff like that, and the other ones and Star Wars that a lot of people like. But I do think it's probably less of a thing. I think a lot of people are more into like slightly different things, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah. Cool. That's interesting.
Or maybe kind of like crossovers. Like maybe it's more
Mm.
of like being into genres that aren't so typical of a certain type of thing, because like you mentioned Umbrella Academy, which has like, or even like superhero movies, it kind of like has like a fantasy kind of
Yeah,
element to it of things that clearly could never happen in real
yeah,
Hmm.
life, which I think sci-fi tends to have.
yeah,
So, um, yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's like this,
maybe the lines are blurred more with
yeah,
current
between
stuff.
like fantasy and sci-fi and everything. That's true.
yeah,
It's very
Yeah.
true because sci-fi
Yeah.
used to be this very clear, we're going into space and there's all
yeah,
this extra technology, and fantasy was very much in the like dragons and
yeah.
elves kind of realm, and now everything is
It's kind
we have a
of
lot more actually. It's very opened up.
yeah,
Yeah, and if I remember correctly too, didn't is his name Martin Garrow, the creator
Hmm.
of well will be the creator of the writer of the new series at least and was of Atlantis. Um I think he was saying like with this new series, for example, it could be good for people that aren't even into sci-fi. So I
Oh,
think
cool.
maybe they kind of and if we kind of think of Stargate, like when I first started watching Stargate, I remember saying to you, I'm not a sci-fi
Hmm.
person. I mean, now I totally am because of Stargate. But
It's the
I think I
gateway
really
drug.
wasn't at with some,
Go on. I'm sorry.
oh wow, but don't you dork. That was a good one actually, though. That was really good. But yeah, so like I think Stargate has the ability to kind of open people's minds with sci-fi related content. Whereas I think if you think of things like, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, some of it follows a very specific type of sci-fi kind of
Hmm.
thing that some people might not initially be into.
That's very
So
true.
yeah.
It's very accessible because it's like in our world. It's our people. It's the first episode is people. So now I'm gonna ask you about the next question because of course the first episode. Um, before I ask this, did you watch the movie or did you just start with episode one?
We started with the series. We didn't watch the movies.
Okay. So, gotcha. Okay. So the first episode, it starts on Earth, right? And it's just some people in the military. Aren't they actually like playing cards in the beginning of the first episode, doing something? Like they're guarding the gate or they're in the gate room, and that actually begins it. So we
Oh yeah,
begin in
they're doing
the,
some. They're doing something, and then it like turns on, right? I think.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not, and rather than kind
Yeah.
of opening it in an outside world, we're opening it in our world. It
Hmm.
opens up and it enters our world. So I know you mentioned that Emily had asked you to watch it several times, and now that I know you also watched 4 episodes in the first day, how did you feel when you started the first episode, and how did you feel sort of after you finished it? Like, what kind of changed in your thinking, or did anything change?
Um, the first thing I remember is I did not like Daniel at all. Um, he was my least favorite character, and I that was the main like thing I think I remember. And then I remember at first when we first started watching it, I was kind of confused what was going on, and then as it started to continue, I started to like it more, and then it's kind of I've the my opinions with it has changed as we've continued watching it. Like now I actually like Daniel's character, and I like certain characters more than others. Um, but there was like I could probably name a handful of characters that I did not like at all in like the first season, and now are like my favorites. So it's like it's weird to kind of look back on if I were to rewatch it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that actually is like a perfect like segue or whatever you would call it into our next question that you didn't even realize, Taylor. So the next question would be, what stands out to you about the characters, and are there any that you like or don't like, which you kind of already slightly went into, but I guess you could kind of go into like how you're feeling about some of them now, or maybe the progression of liking or not liking a character up to this point that you're in the series.
Well, I think one of one of my favorite like main characters, I like all of them for the most part, but probably my favorite one out of the four main ones are I want to say Sam and Jack because they're kind of on the same level for me. And that's kind of stayed the same the entire time. They've always been my favorites. I think it's also because they're kind of like their humor I like relate to. I have the same humor as Jack usually, and also the same with Sam. Um, but I think at one point though, there was a couple times where I didn't like Jack as much as I do now, I think. And then with Teal'c, I also really like him, but he's actually kind of one of my less favorite characters. I don't not like him, but I think it's because of certain character developments I've kind of gotten a bit annoyed with. And then like Daniel in the first season, like I said, I did not like him at all. He really glasses really annoyed me because he kept messing with his glasses and he kept sneezing, and I kept getting so annoyed by it. I'd be like screaming at the TV and just being really mad. But now I really like him now that he's came back. I also loved Jonas Quinn. I'm sad that he's not in the show anymore. But I don't know also if that was slightly influenced by Mom though, since she kept on saying how she really liked Jonas Quinn. I know also there was some like side characters I really like. That I really like Hammond. He's actually one of my favorite characters now. I think with certain characters in the beginning and with now, there's probably certain ones that have also like aren't in the show anymore that I used to like. And I don't remember, but I think there was a character that I don't remember the name, but there's a character that I really didn't like that was part of the Tok'ra. And I forget her name though. It's kind of like the annoying lady that they always showed off her boobs and
Oh, was
stuff.
it Freya and
Yeah,
Anise?
yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I like her. I don't
Yeah.
think at least I don't remember saying that I liked her at all because she was really annoying in my opinion. But
Yeah.
that's all I can remember with most of the characters I've mentioned. There's probably others though.
So with your, sorry, I
Yeah.
have to ask,
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the character traits of Teal'c you don't like some of the developments, and also the couple things about Jack that annoyed you. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm interested.
With Teal'c, I think there's so many episodes that's about him that is to do with like the Jaffa and stuff, and it's almost annoys me that there's so many episodes that goes into his backstory and stuff and so little about the other characters.
Okay, gotcha.
So far I don't know if that's going to change, but also I think a couple times when like he interacts with like his wife and stuff, he was like weird and like acted almost like a really like manly person and was like almost kind of rude to her and stuff, and that just gave me the ick a bit. And that's kind of annoyed me. And then other things with how sometimes he will act or what they've done with his character in certain episodes that then will change later on, like inconsistencies and stuff, have annoyed me. So it's made him slightly be less on like my favorites list and stuff. Especially with like his strength and stuff of his character. Because in one episode he's like really strong and he's like way stronger than humans are, and then another episode some normal person can like knock him out, and it's just random and I don't like it and it annoys me. But then with like Jack, in the first season there were a couple times he was just mean and wasn't funny, where I think he was supposed to be funny, but then he was just mean instead. Like in the very first episode he was just immediately rude to Sam and stuff, which was a really weird scene now that I look back. It's a really weird scene to start off with. But
I mean, is it the famous scene in the where they're all talking and they meet for the first time? And there's actually, I don't know which version you saw because there's two versions. There's this famous line in it that's actually cut out of the final version where she says something like, "Just because my, my or like ovaries are on the inside rather than the outside or whatever, it doesn't mean I'm any worth less," or something. I don't know if that line was in.
I think it was. I can't fully remember it, but I think it was.
I can't remember, Alyssa, because I remember if it wasn't, I probably would have told Teyla about it.
Okay.
And now I'm trying to remember, like, I know, like, when I've watched it, it was there, but I don't know if they, like, when I first started streaming Stargate again, it was on a different streaming platform.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if the current one that I'm streaming from has that same episode or not. And I honestly can't remember now, because if they wouldn't have had it, I would have been annoyed and told Teyla the line anyways.
I think it was.
Yeah.
So I can't remember.
So I don't remember you saying it. I remember. I think you said. I think it was in the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's some versions it's cut out. I don't know, like on our version it doesn't have it. And I mean, I think with that when I had it on DVD, actually one had it and one didn't. So it's really we I think there's like the director's cut, because there's also the nude scene that is cut from some versions. The full, I don't know if that was in your version, when they have the full frontal. Yeah, that's cut from most versions, but it actually I have seen at some point. I don't remember if it was on a TV or if it was on, because I had two different sets of DVDs at some point. I had like the fat ones and then they had the thin ones. And one of them I think did at some point I've seen it with the nudity. But I just don't remember which release it was, because I think they got rid of all of that. They got rid of the line and the nudity.
The reason why I'm almost laughing is because that reminded me of, of the Daniel scene when he comes back. And he's like laying there in the fetal position, naked, like full on naked. And I remember like I had forgot that we were already at that episode when me and Taylor are watching, and she's like, "Oh, geez."
Naked Daniel jump scare.
It was a jump scare. It was terrible. So, you don't want to be watching that with your parent. You don't want to be watching that with your mom sitting like 2 feet away from you.
I mean, it's funny because I hadn't watched Stargate when this was originally coming out, but the lore is that when Daniel Jackson left, people actually put up a website called Save Daniel Jackson, and I think he was particularly loved by a certain like age and gender demographic for certain reasons, as well as being a great character. So I think I almost kind of wonder, I don't know if that was a little bit fan service. I know they don't, I mean, I wouldn't go, oh, it's really fan service, but I wonder a little bit, because there was definitely a lot of people in the age and gender category that were interested in Daniel for certain reasons that were very loud, I think, online at the time.
I think they did girls properly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Too funny. So Teyla, are there any like specific, I don't think we've done this question yet, but are there any episodes in particular, even if you can't fully remember like the title of what they're called, that are like standout episodes to you?
Well, probably one of them now that I've seen a little bit more of Stargate as well, and we're now in the seventh season and everything, and we've been introduced to, like, Jonas Quinn and stuff. Probably one of them that's more near the time we've been watching it now is when we first meet Jonas Quinn, because it's like a new person. And also because you told me about his thing where he's always eating on screen, I was like paying attention because I wanted to see that for some reason. Also, I think one of my favorite episodes, because I don't know why it's my favorite. Maybe it's just because it has a ship I really like in it that kind of starts there, where it's when they have that whole thing where they kind of go primitive and they start to turn to like these, they go like they have, there's some sort of disease that they get.
That's an early one, yeah.
Yeah, and it comes into the facility, and there's a bunch of people have to be like put into quarantine and stuff, and it kind of introduces like Jack and Sam's whole thing into it, and it's probably my favorite episode in the beginning. Because it kind of introduces that. But at first, I remember I was weirded out because I was like, oh God, no, he's way too old for her. Like, I thought he was way older than he probably was. I thought he was like, because I was convinced he also had gray hair by that point, even though apparently he didn't. I think for some reason I saw gray hair at that point, but he didn't at the time. And then later, his hair goes gray, but I thought he was way older than he was. That. Yeah. So it did weird me out a bit because I thought she was like in her 20s. But now I like the episode because I've rewatched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like, didn't you think
Sam and Daniel?
Yeah, you thought Sam and Daniel initially. And then you also had noticed a Daniel and Dr. Frasier thing, right?
We both did. We both noticed the Daniel and Dr. Frasier thing where they were definitely flirting at one point.
Well, you noticed it. I had been told about it previously, that I had never initially noticed it. The only time I noticed it after being aware of it was like, I can't even remember what the scene was, but there was a very specific, like what the episode was. There was a scene where it was showing Frasier and Daniel talking in the hallway, and he said something to her really, really flirty. And me and Taylor were like, whoa, wait, what?
I am legitimately impressed that you noticed that, because I didn't notice it until after, I think Michael Schenk said something about how, I don't know if it was intended or like what, but there was some flirtation set up between the two. And he said, if you really look closely, you can see it, but I never noticed it.
Yeah, I think it was also the actress that played Frasier did an interview where she mentioned that initially was supposed to kind of be a thing that never turned out to be a thing.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. I would have been here for that, actually. That would have been a very cute relationship.
I would have liked that as well. I don't know if I remember, Mom, if you said you wouldn't want that or not, if you thought it was weird.
I think I did say I think that would be weird. I don't know. I'm kind of like half and half with it now. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah. Maybe it depends on the whole, like, how do you feel about Daniel and Sharae? Because I think I would imagine most people thought of Daniel as only being with Sharae, especially for the beginning, and so they wouldn't have wanted to see him with someone else.
I don't like Sharae.
Ooh, spill. I want to know.
I don't really know why. I think it's like partially because she's not actually in the show as much as we would think she would be, because she dies later on, and there's that whole thing where like you don't see her for a while, because that's why Daniel was in the team, because he wanted to try and find her. But I don't know why. I think it's just because it was almost like there was a point in time where like there's a period of episodes where she's just not there and you don't really hear about her at all, because sometimes Stargate's a little bit episodic. So like sometimes there's like episodes that don't really continue. They finish in the same point. And I think part of the reason why I don't like her as much is also that because it's like finished, it kind of stopped there being a reason for him to be there. And then it was kind of confusing. And then he just pieced out after a couple seasons and then came back. But also I think her character just kind of weirded me out a little bit. Maybe it's because she was a very specific character that's supposed to be from a different planet, but I don't know. I just don't like her.
Well, it's interesting because in the first movie, okay, it was coming out in 1994, and in the movie, I think Sharae was some kind of actual gift to Daniel. And I
Ugh.
mean, this is a like it was brought up, I think, in one episode of SG-1 very like this is where Sam, I think in the
Ooh.
very early Sam, like when he says something, yeah, she was a gift, and Sam says, and you accepted? Because I think they, it was basically like kind of, and so I interpret a little bit of like their relationship as kind of 1994 Hollywood being a little bit
Yeah.
like weird about how they kind of deal with ancient
Yeah.
culture and their perception of how relationships are handled in a perceptibly ancient culture. So there's probably some kind of like time racism, you know. I don't know how to put that because it's like
Yeah.
not just of a culture, but also the time period it was in.
Yeah.
Um, And so I don't know if that also partially causes it that, it's not like we see them fall in love in the show and kind of develop something. So it's also a little bit hard maybe for people to feel that kind of pull of, oh, I feel so awful for him
Yeah.
because of losing his wife, because it's not so developed that aspect. Which just makes sense. It was more episodic at the time, and so as you said, and so it was kind of a plot thing. It was in the first episode, but maybe that's a little part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because like I'm trying to think like I've never really had like a strong reaction either way with Sharae. Um, and maybe it's just because like I didn't feel connected with her character because I think I watched the movie like a long time ago and I remember not being a big fan of the movie. So, um, yeah, like a lot of the Stargate movies I tend to not really get into, so I didn't want to rewatch it, and I never even thought to have Taylor try and watch it.
Mm.
Which I almost wonder actually if I had Taylor watch the movie first before the series, if she'd even would have watched the series with me. Because I feel like she probably would have gotten bored,
Yeah.
to be honest. So it would be interesting though in terms of the Sha Ray character, if me and Taylor watched the movie and see then if we felt more of a connection to her because of seeing more about her character in the movie, because it sounds like there must be more there.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Out of curiosity, uh, do you think that Stargate has a special appeal for a younger audience? Like, do you imagine that there's something about the show that can be appealing to your generation, maybe even more so than other shows, or something that you think maybe is necessary for your generation?
Yeah, I think it's one of those shows because I've always been interested in like older shows. Like I've always been more interested in movies and shows that have been made like before I was born because for some reason I've always liked them better. And I think with my generation that's kind of been not a trend but a thing that's happened just naturally because I also think a lot of shows that have been made now or movies that have been made now, I think because of certain quality stuff and certain things that they try and like push into things, like I think sometimes it can actually make you not want to watch them because it feels like it's been done before. You know, like there's so many movies and shows that have been done over and over again, and then it's like you go back to the original thing that was like the original idea of it, and you're like, oh, that's so much better. So I think if more people like my age were to watch Stargate and stuff, they'd probably really like it. At least I would think so. I do think there'd probably be a lot of people that wouldn't because there are certain episodes that would probably be controversial now. But yeah, I think for the most part, it would definitely be something I would like to see more people watch because it's definitely I feel like it's important to kind of look at things that even if it wasn't made now or if it wasn't a a amazing like show that's very very popular or whatever, even if it's kind of like even if it's been canceled or something like that, it's important to watch it because then it's like also good to then see, well, is there another thing that's been inspired by this that I might also like. So
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, do you feel like, because I feel like with me and you, Taylor, we watch a lot of shows together and we'll go through like periods of time where we'll kind of like binge
Yeah.
watch things and then we'll take a little bit of break and things like that. But I have felt like when we've watched Stargate, it's been more constant where you seem to have an interest in continually watching it. So like, is there something specific with Stargate that you feel draws you more to wanting to continue watching it?
I think it's probably one that I'm watching it with you, so I also have a reason to watch it.
Ah,
Aw.
Oh dear God. But when I'm watching something with someone else, there is a less of a tendency for me to like get cringed out, stop watching it, and never witness it again because that's what I do a lot. So I think if I'm watching it with someone else, like if I'm watching it with you, like, or if I was watching it with a friend or whatever, like, I think I would more likely want to continue it because then I know there's also someone else that's wondering what's happening, and I can't just like pause it, be like, okay, I don't like this episode, so I'm just going to ignore the show for half a year and come back to it like 2 years later and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. I have to rewatch it. And it's a whole thing. But also, I
yeah.
think just with the show itself, because at times it is more episodic, but then at times it's like there's a running theme within like the episodes where I think that also makes it interesting. Because if you don't like a certain storyline, there's other episodes that you'll like still because it's, for example, with the Sharae and Daniel storyline, that was just one thing that was going on. Then there was also Teal'c, where he's from a different planet, and then there's Sam, who you didn't really know a lot about at first, and then you learn more about her and her dad and stuff. And then there's Jack, who like with him, and also there's like certain relationships and things you still have to learn about. And because it's a sci-fi show, there's also so many worlds that like there's always an episode that someone will like, I think. So it's also easier to go back at it if you think of it in that way, where if you don't like one episode, that doesn't mean you're not going to like the others. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And like something I just thought of too, like there's been episodes we've watched that I've been like sometimes so excited to finally get to with Teyla, like some that are like my favorites. And then I'm always like a few of them I was shocked where she just
I
didn't, she
hate
wasn't
Ergo.
into it. Like that was okay. She
I
hates
hate
Ergo.
Ergo.
What
I
the
stand
hell?
by it. I stand.
Okay, so the funniest thing about that is that you could say, okay, maybe this is a generational thing, but I have to say, Vala, every time she's sick, she watches Ergo. And anytime when she's home and she wants to watch a Stargate, the first episode she wants to watch is Ergo. She loves it.
I don't like it. I don't like the Contria guy either. He
That
annoys me.
is so funny.
I hate them both, and I wish they were never in the show.
Oh yeah, I was, maybe I'm like partial like um the cause of her not liking what's his name? I forget his name, the Comtria guy.
Yeah.
But like
Harlan.
because like way before Teyla ever watched Stargate, I used to go to her room and I'd be like,
Oh
Comtria.
yeah. So maybe it's
And she'd be
triggering a
like,
little
what
bit.
is that?
Every morning, when you would be waking me up for whatever reason, you would come and do the thing, and it would be so annoying.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like during the pandemic, when you're not supposed to like hug or shake hands, and everyone was like, "Ah, let's do that elbow thing." I totally did not do that, and instead I would always go, "Come try ya," and probably most people didn't know what I was talking about, but I thought
Oh, I love that.
I was like, "Come on, this is
I wish
perfect."
I would have thought of that.
No, you're probably waited
Oh
so
my
long to
gosh.
watch Stargate. You're
What?
probably the reason why I waited so long to watch Stargate is because I was stubborn about it and you kept mentioning it. So I just
Yeah, that does happen. But I mean, if I wouldn't have remained like
yeah.
determined and decided to just like because how we started watching it, I can't remember if we mentioned it on this podcast, but on this episode of our podcast, but how Taylor started watching it was because we were both just kind of chilling, sitting on my futon, and she was just like doing something else on her phone, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna put an episode on, like, and then she's like, no, and I'm just like, trust me, you'll like it, you'll like it. She's like, yeah, and then like eventually, like, she actually just got interested in it as I was playing it, so it was a little bit of a force.
Well, like I've told you before, though, so there's been a couple times where you put on Stargate, whether it was the very first episode or it was an episode that you were on when rewatching it in the background. And a couple times I think you did that also for like your birthday, where I think when there was a point when you were like opening your presents for a birthday or something like that, and you put on Stargate in the background. And every time I did tell you that I actually thought I would like the show, it was that I was watching so many shows that I had to finish like within that time that I didn't want to start another one that was really long, because in that time I was still watching things like Big Bang Theory, and I was also at one point watching Friends. I was watching so many different things. I was watching Umbrella Academy, where I didn't want to start another thing. So I'm just myself.
True.
And Stargate's a big investment. It's long. There's 10
Yeah.
seasons plus 5 seasons plus 2 seasons. And they're like long seasons,
Yeah,
24 episodies in the beginning.
like half an hour episodes.
Hmm.
Do you like that? Do you like that it's a long seasons? Because a lot of things now are like 10
Yeah.
episode seasons.
Well, yeah, because I actually, that's why I tend to like older shows or movies better, because they tend to not be so fast. I'm not going to be one of those people that is like saying that it's bad to have like a short attention span, because whatever reason that is, people have their different reasons for that. It's not always like social media and stuff, but it can be. But I always don't like to have fast things that are kind of with kids shows. A lot of kids shows now tend to be quite short, like just a couple minute long episodes, only like 8 episodes per season, and only like 2 seasons. And it's like, even with, if they're not kids shows, like even with things like Umbrella Academy, which I love that show, it only has 4 seasons, and each season only has, I want to say, like 10 episodes at very least, maybe even less than that, and they're long-ish episodes, but I think there's still less long of episodes than Stargate, where with things like Stargate, or like how I really like Big Bang Theory, they have a lot of seasons, longer episodes, and a lot of episodes in each season, which I've always preferred. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what do you think of then, like when they announced the new series that will be starting with Stargate, and the fact that it probably will be like following that format with like 10 episodes per season?
I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of get it, because now like more shows, more streaming platforms tend to not want like shows that aren't in that format. So I kind of get it if that's the reason, but at the same time I'm kind of like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. But at the same time, I understand it. It's just a little bit annoying, because I kind of like the other format better. But as long as it's like a good show, then I don't care as much. As long
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that there's anything about the show that seems overly dated to you, or can you get it, like when you watch it, do you feel like this is from the 90s and early 2000s, or do you not really get a sense of this?
Not usually. Sometimes I do, and it's usually with for example, that one episode where it was kind of a controversial episode, where it's that whole thing where Sam has to wear a thing over her face because she's a woman, and they go to that one planet, and they're all weird about women being a certain way. And that always irks me, because then I'm like, oh, it's showing its age a little bit. And then there's also other episodes like that, like for example, with how I've said before, with how Teal'c has treated his wife sometimes, it's very like, oh, okay, that kind of reminds me when this was made, and stuff like that. And certain ways of thinking that you could like say it's just because it's from a different planet, maybe, but still sometimes within like the regular on Earth and stuff, they'll still have certain things that it reminds me. So usually it's not, but sometimes it is.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's coming
Yeah.
from being someone that like lived in the US at the time.
Yeah.
There are quite a lot of things that give me the vibe, but it's mostly like the vibe of what the 90s, the late 90s was, and that there's this certain optimism, there's this certain being against ethnocentricity.
Yeah.
There's like, I mean, there's the constant undertones of you can tell
They're against.
O'Neill was participating in the Cold War. And so there's the same, it's interesting, like the political tensions haven't really changed. So I guess maybe
Yeah.
that's also partially why it doesn't feel dated, is it's, I mean, very similar, but
The
yeah,
guy,
so some of those things. Yeah.
the guy who ran for president is almost exactly like Trump. Like, I forget his name, but it's some sort of person that I think was the president, and he's almost exactly
Yeah, or
Trump.
he, or no, not the president, or ran for, yeah, he
Yeah.
did run for president, the
Yeah.
Senator,
Oh, wait, is it Kinsey? Are you talking about Kinsey?
Yeah.
Kinsey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminds us so much of
Yeah.
Trump. And let's see, we've seen up to a little bit of season 7. So I can't fully remember what happens with him, but yeah, there was that episode where they had like the Jack O'Neill, or you think it's Jack O'Neill that tries to assassinate
Oh
him,
yeah.
right? Um, but so far, like we've said, me and you, Teyla, are on, I think, the beginning of season
Mhm.
7. We haven't actually watched a Stargate episode in the last few weeks, so we need to we need to probably soon. But basically, like based off of where we're at, then as I think we get to season 8, I think it is, that's when we would start watching Atlantis, right, Alyssa? I
Yes,
think.
season 8, I think, is where after the Lost City kind of two-parter in the beginning, then there's
Yeah.
this season 8 Atlantis tandem.
Yeah. So like Taylor, are you like excited to also start watching Atlantis? Do you think that when it comes time to like then getting to Stargate Universe that you'll also want to watch that? And why or why not?
I don't think I'm gonna like them as much as I like SG-1. I kind of already know that
Mhm.
because I already really like SG-1, that I just have a feeling I probably won't like them as much. But I will say very excited for Atlantis. I'm very excited to see certain characters that you've told me about. Um, because then it'll be kind of like a new thing. It won't be like the same people over and over again. And I do want to also watch the what is it, Universe it's called?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Stargate
also I
Universe.
also want to watch that one. I also don't think I'm gonna like that one as much because at least from what you've described of it, it's a very different vibe. I think it's more serious stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't have an issue with it being more serious. I actually like most shows that are more like that. But um, I do think there will be a difference with my opinion with each one because I always like the original thing better than the continuations of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And who knows, maybe you'll be surprised and you'll actually like Atlantis more than SG-1. You just never know.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, I avoided Atlantis for a long time
Mhm.
because like, I remember when it first came on, actually, my then partner and his dad watched the premiere. But I didn't because I'd only seen like a few random sporadic things. I really only started watching it later. But they watched the actual premiere of both. And I think at that point, Atlantis wasn't really well received. A lot of people said it was like kind of a replica of Stargate and that the characters were basically just the same kind of
Yeah. Is it?
collection of characters. And so I kind of didn't really watch it because I didn't think I would like it. And
Yeah.
then at some point, I went, you know what? I'm going to do the tandem watch and watch them both at the same time. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. And like, there's some parts of Atlantis I think that are just completely peak. And so
Yeah.
I'll be interested. We will definitely revisit this when you watch Atlantis in Universe to
Mhm.
see. Um, but out of curiosity, because you're what now? You're in season 7.
Mhm.
Um, what do you have any like predictions or thoughts of things that you think might happen? Things you want to happen, things you don't want to happen?
I think So I think one of them is kind of an obvious thing that they've been building up to, where it's like Sam and Jack, that whole thing. I kind of feel like it's obvious enough where there's literally no way that won't happen, because it's kind of like it reminds me of the Ross and Rachel situation and Friends and stuff. Um,
Okay.
but then with other things, I feel like I hope that we see Jonas Quinn at least a couple times later on. I know there's a possibility we won't and stuff, but I kind of hope for that because I really like his character. I feel like there has to be something. There's no way that they haven't defeated like the. I'm going to say, Mom, can you say the go? Yeah,
Gold.
there we go. Because otherwise, I'm going to say it wrong, and people are going to hate me for it. But
Goa'uld.
I can't pronounce it. I say Goa'uld or something like that.
You got it. You
You
got
got
it.
You
Yeah.
got it.
I usually say it
Yeah.
so differently. But anyway, like I feel like there's no way they will defeat them at one point. I feel like that would be running it a little bit long if they haven't, but probably they won't. I want to see more of the Nox as well. I want to see more of them because I like them. They're a bit weird though. I can't think of anything else. I feel like there has to be something to do with Daniel, but I don't really know what. So that's all I can think of, really.
Do you predict he's going to die anymore?
Yeah.
I mean...
The reason why is because I saw a meme on Pinterest and it said the amount. It says it was making a joke on how many times Daniel dies. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna prepare myself. I didn't think he was going to die for real, only for a season, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like I guess with that too, like I had to tell Teyla that like he was coming back after a season because she was so destroyed by it. She's like, "No, I'm just starting to like him." What?
Just the day before said I liked him finally. Like I started to actually have him be one of my favorites, and then he dies, leaves, and then goes naked. Like
like, what are you doing to me, Stargate? Not only do you take away my characters, you bring them back naked. I mean...
Yeah, pretty much. Probably.
Oh my, Teyla, do you have any other final thoughts about Stargate that you feel like you haven't had the chance to say yet?
Probably not. Besides, I want Jonas Quinn back.
So what you need to do is you need to go all like early 2000s internet and make a really bad geosites website that says save Jonas Quinn, and then he'll bring
him back to the new season or something.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there are going to be a lot of people petitioning for certain people to come back, and I always hope they listen to and don't listen to fans, because I always find that sometimes when you listen to fans, the wrong things happen. Like sometimes we need to be a little bit unsatisfied.
Yeah.
We need to be unsatisfied. Otherwise, it's like there's certain shows where you can tell they started to give into fans. I know you mentioned like you watch Big Bang Theory. Like I love that. I've also watched all of Big Bang Theory, but I do feel in the last like couple seasons they really start giving into what fans ask for.
Yeah, like spoilers or whatever, but at the very end they made Penny pregnant for some reason. I don't like that. That's weird. Like that's a thing to put in a show. That's kind of like a good example of showing when they listen to fans instead of thinking of if it would actually make the show better or not.
You know, that's so true, because like if I just think too, even like with, I can't think of specific shows, but I do know like the typical thing in shows of when you really want two people to be together and there's this constant tension of will they, won't they? And then they finally do. And it's like a brief moment of happiness and then it gets boring. So it's like, I kind of feel like that's an example in some shows of like when, you know, maybe it was already intended, but it's like they do listen to the fans of really wanting characters together.
Kind of like
then
Lorelai from Gilmore Girls. Kind of like with Luke and Lorelai from Gilmore Girls and stuff.
Oh, but I still like that they got together. Yeah. No, they have to.
I do, but it got boring, and I know
it did. Yeah.
So
Did you say you know spoilers?
I know spoilers, so.
No, don't tell me. No, 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 no.
Oh,
We haven't watched Gilmore Girls in a while, so we're
Oh, so you're not
behind.
through it. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think I ever did finish that series, so there's actually some stuff that I genuinely don't know. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I guess like, is this it? Like, I guess this is it. Like, I can't think of any other questions unless you can, Alyssa.
Yeah. I mean, we really, really appreciate you coming and sharing your Stargate
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And I hope that it inspires other young people to take part and watch the show. And I think it also just goes to show that people making shows can trust and believe in the audience. Because I think we do underestimate. I mean, you mentioned you like things that are slower paced or that have more. And I think we're at a point where a lot of times we're not really trusting the audience that they're willing to take things. And we are willing, we are interested, and all of us are. And don't underestimate people's interests. And yeah. And so
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. And I hope we can have you on again
Yeah.
when you've seen more and hear about your thoughts after the end of everything, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm nervous
so
for the end of Stargate. I feel like there's something you guys don't. I feel like there's something you guys know, and I don't know.
well, technically, there's lots of things that we know.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Because
things we know since we've seen it.
yes,
Oh,
we have. I guess we've seen like almost 10 seasons because it's like
yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10, then 5 of Atlantis, and then
And
2 of. So you're really just the beginning. Like it's not even
Yeah.
halfway.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still quite a lot to go, quite a lot of storylines to get into, things to happen that I'm sure you'll have a lot of opinions on. So it could be cool to kind of every now and then check in and
Daniel dying, apparently.
opinions. What?
A lot of Daniel dying, apparently.
We shall not say. Um, But yeah, I mean, I guess it just like leaves us to for anyone watching this video, it would be cool like if they're watching it with their kids, like, like maybe their thoughts or experiences on, how their kids did or didn't enjoy Stargate if they did actually get them to watch it. I know a few people that have viewed our podcast said that they wished that they could get their kids to watch it. They really want them to, and they haven't yet. And yeah, Teyla, you just need to go out there and do like a little gathering of of people your age that will enjoy Stargate. Start convincing your acting friends and
That
your film buddies like to watch it.
I've
Yeah,
I've tried to tell some people that they should watch it, and they keep thinking I'm talking about Star Trek.
Ugh. Yeah, we just need to
yeah.
have like a watch party of Stargate sometime.
Yeah,
No.
kidnap a bunch of people and then force them to watch Star Wars and not Star Wars,
Ah!
Stargate.
Emily's like, no, that's from my traumatic past when Alyssa made me watch Star Wars.
That's funny.
Yeah, but no, I mean for real because there's going to be a new show, and at this rate, if people kind of
Yeah.
start watching the old one now, they'll almost be ready, depending on how fast. Maybe some people
Yeah.
binging capabilities are quite astounding, but
Watching the entirety of SG-1 in like a week would be insane. I don't know how someone could manage that.
yeah,
Yeah. Some
not
good, who knows?
sleeping. Time travel.
Yeah.
Time travel.